Good morning. Welcome to the Holy Shift Balls podcast. It's Thursday, baby. This is where spirit meets sarcasm, healing comes with giggles, and enlightenment includes occasionally dropping the F-bomb. It's time for another dose of Thursday shenanigans. I'm your host, Sharon, with my energetic bestie.
I'm Bethany.
And together, we're Holy Shift Balls. Holy Shift. It's Thursday. Let's go. And
woo! Well, we have got an amazing being for you guys today. We are going to be talking to the amazing Terri Jay. Now, Terri is the cowgirl shaman. Now, she is widely known for all of her intuitive communications with animals, people, and it's just really amazing the work that Terri does. She offers intuitive communications for nonverbal, such as nonverbal autism, also Alzheimer's, just to name a few. So I will not steal the stage. I am so super excited. Let's give a warm, energetic welcome to Terri Jay.
Woo, Terri!
Thanks so much for having me.
Great to have you with us. We're so excited. This is awesome.
Yes,
me too. I love my work.
And you can tell it shines through because you are totally authentic no matter where you are, what you're doing, and that's part of your beauty. So can you tell us, Terri, what was the defining moment in your life where the universe pulled that saddle right out from underneath you and shifted your life in a completely new direction?
It was pretty amazing thinking back on it, and I was just so calm and relaxed pretty much at the time. But in 1990, I was doing a horseback therapy program with disabled kids, and I picked a kid up out of his wheelchair and put him on the back of one of the horses, and he looked at me and said, "Hey, I have a cramp in my hip." And I said, "Oh, if you have a cramp, well, here, sit this way, it'll take the cramp out." And he said, "Hey, you can hear me." And I said, "Well, of course I can hear you." It didn't dawn on me at the time that he was nonverbal. So we went about our business doing the horseback therapy. And while we were doing it, I walked next to them and spot them because we do vaulting, which is gymnastics on horseback. And he's talking about the school play and his little girlfriend and everything that had nothing to do with horses. So when we were done, I took him off the horse, put him back in his wheelchair, and he went back to class. Well, there's a gal leading the horse. And she just said, "Hey, he's sure talking great." And I said, "Well, just because he has CP doesn't necessarily mean that he has any cognitive issues." Right. She looked at me, she said, "Terri, he didn't say a word. He can't remember." And if I was a horse, I would have done a buck fart snort, because when they're spooked, they do all three of those things. A buck fart snort. When they're spooked, they do all three of those things at the same time. It's hilarious to watch, as long as you're not on him at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I went into the classroom and they put a band around his head with a pointer, and he had typed out on his computer, "Horse lady can hear me."
Wow.
So I had it confirmed that we were doing this telepathic communication. Mm-hmm. So I stood there talking with him, realizing I was hearing his thoughts because he thought in words,
And he was actually heard him as if he was speaking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was totally telepathic. So I went back outside and I told the gal who was helping me, and I said, "Here's what happened." And she said, "Well, if you can hear nonverbal communication, that's telepathy, then you ought to learn to communicate with the horses, because all animals are telepathic. And then wouldn't that make your program really safe?" And I was shocked. I was still shocked. Yeah. So there were no books available at the time. You got to remember, this is 35 years ago. There was one book on animal communication, and it really wasn't very helpful. And then somebody gave me the book "You Are Psychic" by Pete Sanders Jr., and that helped a little bit. But mostly just flying by the seat of my pants and learning was the best way. I just, did it. I was married to a horse trainer, and so we had like 25 horses on the property at the time. And
you had a lot of subjects to work with then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the most fun is he'd get these wild horses in from BLM and, to train them for the owners. And I'd go out there and tell them, man, not eat horse, man, not eat horse. Play with
Okay.
horse, groom horse, itchy, good stuff. Just relax, not hurt.
Were
And
they worried they were going to be eaten?
wild horses believe that we're going to eat them, yes.
I think they'd be worried about the glue factory, but okay.
No, they just worry about survival.
Yeah.
And we're a predator, and we smell like a predator because we eat meat.
Oh.
So that's what their main concern was when we first got him in. It made a huge difference. And some of them, he was able to ride him in 2 or 3 days. It was just huge. It was just amazing.
Wow.
So that's been the beginning of my journey. And then along the way, I ran into energy healers. And you got to remember, I'm really a down-to-earth person. I'm out there shoveling manure every morning, and feeding horses. And you don't get much more down-to-earth than that. And so this stuff was all too weird for me. I'd never, gone to a psychic or had my cards read or anything. I thought they were all frauds and it was all BS and all that. So to then be on the other side going, well, I'm hearing all this weird stuff. And then I, started doing readings for people, and then I'd hear dead people coming through. I should call them non-physical energy beings, because that's really what they are.
Yeah, but a lot of people wouldn't understand and correlate that with people who had passed or deceased, right? So, yeah.
Right. So anyway, it just sort of evolved, and I was pushed by one of the energy healers to really expand what I was doing. And so I started doing remote viewing and map dowsing and finding lost pets. And then the energy healing aspect was so fascinating to me, because if we don't take care of our stuck negative emotions, that's what causes disease. I call it dis-ease.
Right.
So anyway, it's just really been a journey. And now it's just all second nature to me.
Yeah. What is one thing that you could share with other horse owners today, that if they're hoping or choosing to communicate with their horses, what would be one step for them to be able to really step into that frequency of communication with their horse?
I think one of the best things people can do is learn to listen faster. We've all been trained about polite conversation. I talk, you wait, you talk, I wait. Well, telepathy is over the top. So a mental conversation with a horse can sound like this. Hey, did you, well, what about, are you going to, it's that fast. So it's very, very fast. And even like that ghost, the guy that's got that ghost show, and he goes, why are you stuck? Well, if you're trying to communicate with a non-physical energy being, it's going to sound the same way. It's, hey, okay, well, you're not going to get your thought out. It's all telepathic.
Well, it's like having a conversation with your besties. You can finish each other's thoughts, and you start a sense, and they're like, and they're right in it and right on it. And I have people in my life that's how we communicate. And anyone sitting around is like, what is going on? You guys aren't even right. So it's much like that, right?
Well, a lot of married couples do it all the time too. I'm kind of a stinker, because I will say something mentally like somebody needs to, and then, fill in the blank. And I turn around and somebody's doing it. And I don't think they know that I'm putting it out there, but I just go, that worked.
Yes.
Yeah. I really have fun with my horse in the morning, because he bugs me for cookies the whole time I'm trying to do chores. And I just tell him, go over, Betty, spray flies. That's how you put out those pulses of information. Okay. And you should watch him. He just sort of goes, oh yeah. And he walks over to Betty to get sprayed and get his fly mask on. And when it happens, you kind of go, whoa, that worked. It's pretty funny.
That is so amazing. I mean, just to think and feel and hear that you are able to communicate with the non-communication people, you know, that has to be so rewarding, not only for them, but also for you. Where are you located? How can people like talk, you know, get in contact with you on stuff like this? Because this just blows my mind that I could possibly be able to communicate with my horse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Well, the background I have that's all vibrating. I must have a real high frequency today. I'm in Carson Valley, Nevada, and that's the view out my window is those gorgeous Sierra Nevada mountains. They don't have snow on them right now, but they will soon.
Wow.
Anyway, so I'm south of Reno, south of Carson City, in a place called Minden. But I do my work by phone all over the world. Just this last week, I was doing so many communications in Great Britain, and it was all nonverbal autistic kids. Oh my goodness, it was so fun. It was so fun because these kids are just a delight. And, you know, they have behaviors that might make us uncomfortable, you know, just making tones all the time or, you know, doing self-stim behaviors. But the things that they shared were just phenomenal.
So how are the ages, Terri, and what are they interested in?
Say that again, please.
What are their ages and what are they interested in?
I think one was 9 and one was 11. They were both boys. And one was visually impaired too. And so he gave me the feeling of, and this is just right, you know, off the get-go. I said, he's giving me the sound of a jet engine. And I said, so he wants to know what that comes from. And his mom said that they drove past the airport and a jet landed like right above their car. It went right above their car. And she told him it was a jet, but he still wanted to have that connection to what is this? Okay. So I told her, I said, either get him a model, I said, or take him to, you've got an aeronautical museum there. And I said, take him and let him be able to run his hands all the way down a jet so that he can feel the size of it and everything. He can explore with his hands. And so she was like shocked that he was sharing that huge noise and with the question of what made that noise.
Exactly.
So that was really cool. And then the other one was, I'm trying to think what he was coming through with. Oh, he was going through puberty and he's growing hair on his arms and it was irritating him. The hair on his arms was irritating him. I imagine the hair growing on other parts of his body would be doing it too, but he just felt like he wasn't in his own skin anymore. So his mom was able to just, you know, talk him through that and, you know, show that she had hair on her arms and that it was a normal thing. But they're so sensitive. They're so sensitive to tactile things. And so those are just two things that come to mind about those kids. I just love them.
Yeah. What kind of growth and expansion are these amazing nonverbal children experiencing when working with the horses? And second of all, what are the horses communicating when working with these amazing nonverbal children?
Yeah, I have a funny story. I got this mare, and her name was Mary Kay, and
like the makeup. Did you used to sell makeup in a previous life?
No, she was just pretty much a diva though. So the first class was learning disabled kids, and so you know we're walking around, we're on the grass, we're going through the gymnastics on horseback that we do. And it was just LD kids. So they were having a blast, hanging upside down and, you know, doing all this fun stuff that's vaulting. And, but Mary Kay was so obnoxious. She was trying to eat the grass and just pushing on me and just really being obnoxious. So the next class were autistic kids. And I put an autistic kid on her. And I mean, her eyes got big as saucers and her ears came up. And she did one of those soft, like, that's a WTF in horse talk.
Oh, that's horse WTF. Yeah.
It was just that woof. And she said, Mary Kay, you're boy. And I said, I know. I said, boy telepathic, like like horse, like Terri. And she said, what's wrong with him? And I said, special. Mary Kay, help child. And she totally changed. I mean, she transformed like somebody flipped a switch. Her head went up. She was quiet. She wasn't pushing. She didn't try to eat grass. And she walked like she was walking on glass. You just could not believe the difference, because she realized this was her job, is to help these kids. And that transformation was just phenomenal. And the gal that was helping me goes, what'd you do? Because, every time when I'm communicating with him, I don't say it out loud. I'm communicating telepathically. And she goes, what'd you do? And I said, well, she could hear him. She goes, what? I said, well, these autistic kids are all telepathic. You got to remember, though, this is 35 years ago. And now we have the telepathy tapes where they've proven that autistic kids are telepathic. And I really want to go, well, no, duh, right?
No shit, Sherlock.
Exactly. So, and when somebody told me about it and they've proven that autistic people are telepathic, I was like, and? Yeah, really, I've been doing this forever. And so anyway, just watching that transformation with Mary Kay was so amazing. It was just, she was like so businesslike. And she's like, okay, bring me the next one. I'll take care of them. And it was so cute. It's just precious the way she just totally changed.
Do you ever go help people when they're breaking in their horses to help communicate with them so they know what the break-in process is all about?
No, I don't train anymore. I don't do the handicap riding program anymore. I do just readings 7 days a week and holidays. And because I love it. I'm so passionate about it. And I love teaching people how to do this. What I help when people are training horses is a lot of times they miss how much pain they're in. Horses have to have regular chiropractic. And I want to say the faster they go, the harder they turn, the more chiropractic they need. I mean, my couch potatoes in the backyard get it 4 times a year. They ain't doing nothing, And
Wow.
But they have to have it. And then I also recommend AccuScope for soft tissue stuff, because it's the best modality that I've found so far. So it's just amazing how when you tune in and they'll swear there's nothing wrong. I've just had this horse vetted and there's no soundness issues, no lameness issues. And I go, yeah, but your allopathic vet went from hoof to elbow, hoof to stifle, and quit. So 95% of the horse didn't even get looked at.
Oh.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So he's out in his atlas axis. He's got TMJ. He's out 4 places in his neck. He's out in his withers. And he's got ribs out on both sides, and his mid back is out, and his low back is out, and his sacrum is out. Other than that, he's fine. So on a pain scale of 1 to 10, he's an 8. And you're wondering why you've got performance issues? So that stuff really helps.
Wow. Something's echoing.
Yeah, we've had that all morning, actually.
Me?
So
Ron's messing
no,
with us.
I don't know. Terri, what is one of the healing modalities, or how could someone step into their own abilities of, I know you don't like psychic. It's more of an intuitive communication with spirit. How can you guide somebody that might be on the quest of, hey, this sounds, I have a feeling this is something that I would like to pursue? What would you guide them or tell them how to do that?
Well, first of all, everybody has these abilities. We're all born with intuition, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, and claircognizance. Clair just means clear. So we have clairseeing, clairfeeling, clairhearing, clairknowing. We all have all of that. And we turn it off in childhood, so it's just a matter of turning it back on to use it. And I think one of the biggest things is just learning to communicate faster. Listen faster. That's the biggest thing I would tell people. And I've written 3 books. They're published. They're on Amazon. You can get them on my website, to teach people how to do this. And because anybody can learn. I've taught people how to do this through the years that now do this as a living. And they're good at it. You know, I may call them up and go, hey, can you look at something for me? And of course, you're on the phone saying, can you look at something? But we know what we're talking about. But the first book is The Cowgirl Shaman Way, 7 Easy Steps to Develop Your Intuitive Ability. And that just sort of goes through how I got started and the whole mishigas. And then the second book I wrote is called Intuitive Communication, Communicating with Those Who Cannot. And to me, telepathy is not enough. You're going to hear words with telepathy. With intuition, you're going to get tastes and smells and sounds and feelings. The feelings can be tactile, they can be pain, they can be emotions. So I think it's much more important to go whole hog and develop all of your intuitive abilities. But this way you can communicate with people in a coma, persistent vegetative state, with severe Alzheimer's, dementia. You know, it just makes it so that you can communicate with anybody, anywhere. And the last book I wrote is called The Physics of Mediumship, and I almost put the subtitle, Cut the Woo-Woo Crap. Because that's really what I wanted to do, is go, hey, you guys, this is not woo-woo. We're not, dealing with the devil here. There's no such thing. And just that we all can stay connected to those who have passed, whether animals or humans, forever. We just need to learn to listen and communicate in a different way. That book is really fun. It's really fun.
Now, Terri, what would you say? Would you say that it's someone would have to take a look at their own mental and emotional frequency vibration, where they're vibrating at, to be able to communicate with higher aspects of spirit? What's your thoughts on that?
Bethany, that is a really good point. I always say that you can only love others to the level and degree you love yourself, because I really believe that's true. And I think when you start doing this work, your negative crap is going to shake out and come to the surface. It happens to me all the time. I get glimpses of things that were horrible in my past, and I just go, ew. And then I can just hear guidance go, work it. It's like, oh, okay. And so I just deal with it and work with it and release it.
Yeah.
But that, it's vibration and frequency. Through the years, I've lost a lot of friends, and it's because they're no longer a vibrational match to me. And it makes you sad, but at the same time, if you stay with people that are like negative or stuck in their own shit, it pulls you down if you allow it.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is all about vibration and frequency. If it wasn't for physics, I couldn't do this work. I couldn't. I'd be like, well, time to lock me up.
Well, isn't it interesting? I find this so interesting because, horses are grounded all the time. Yeah. They discharge, energy that they come into, and they ground it out through their hoofs and onto Mother Earth. And I just find that fascinating because, I don't have a horse, but I have a dog. And every time she goes outside, she grounds. And when she comes back in, she always gives me a hug. And that is so, I can feel it. I can sense it. It's just so magical. These beings that just go outside and they ground all the time. So that energy flows to you and through you.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things about doing this work is learn to get and stay grounded all the time. And there's times when I get on the phone and I go, how can I help? And it's almost like my guides go, ah, ah. And I go, oh. And then I try to ground and I go, what is wrong with me? And it's like, I look like I'm constipated. I'm going, trying to ground, because my crown's closed and I have no roots, and I'm just trying to visualize and feel it. And most of the time I can ground with a breath, just a breath. Mm-hmm. But there's sometimes when, I get stressed or things aren't going right, or, I've gotten angry about something. And it's so grounding after that. It's a chore. It isn't like, oh, I'm in, it's not like that. You just have to think, okay, roots out your feet and your tailbone. Send them to the center of the earth. Wrap them around the core. Bring them back up. Open your crown. It's like I have to go through the steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Terry, it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Will you share with our audience how they can connect with you, talk to you, or they can schedule an appointment? Anything that they can do to get into your frequency and your energy. Our audience would love that.
Absolutely.
The best place is my website. It's just my name.com, TerriJay.com. You can pick your day and time on Calendly on my website. You can pay, fill out the form. So I've got your information so I can contact you. And then I confirm your appointment, call you, and just start every reading with how can I help? And we just go from there.
Beautiful.
That is absolutely stunning. Thank you so much, Terry. You're such a gift to humanity for everything that you're doing.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much for having me on. And I wish you guys all the best with your podcast. I know it's going to be a huge hit.
Thank you, Terry.
You so much. We love y'all. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.